want to talk for just a moment today about how believers should be responding to this current administration that we're almost 2 months in now, and specifically about the intoxicating nature of power, how power draws people in, and even those who were once opposed to that power can become intoxicated by it. Now, I'm not even focusing on the administration as a whole today. I really want to zoom in on one particular aspect of the Trump presidency, which I'm noticing. And that's the fact of how so many people who once condemned him, even harshly, are now trying to align themselves with him. Even those who called him dangerous, a liar, and unfit for office, they are now flocking to his side. They are abandoning their so-called principles because they crave proximity to power. And who else is a prime example of this than his own vice presidential nominee, JD Vance? This is a man who, before he saw the political winds shifting in Trump's favor, before he saw he could have a place within the MAGA world, JD Vance compared Trump to Hitler. He said Trump was leading America towards fascism. That's what JD Vance said. He called him a con man. Vance called Trump a con man. He didn't just oppose Trump, he loathed him. But now, he's his running mate. And not only his running mate, but they won, and he is one of his most loyal defenders as vice president. And he is not the only one. What about Marco Rubio? Once called Trump a dangerous, erratic, lying con artist. And Marco Rubio is now happily serving in the administration as the Secretary of State. These are people who, when Trump first ran, they seemed to have at least a shred of moral fiber left in them. Now they have done a complete 180. So today the question we need to ask is, did these individuals really change their minds about Trump? Or did they see an opportunity? Did they just see an opportunity to gain power and take it? And let's be real, knowing what you know about politicians, knowing what you know about partisan politics and power, which scenario is more believable? That they actually changed their minds, or that they saw an opportunity to be close to power? You see, power is intoxicating. And if someone isn't truly grounded in morals, if someone is not grounded in principles, if someone is not grounded in something greater than themselves, they will abandon their so-called convictions the moment it's convenient to do so. And I believe that's exactly what we're seeing here. They didn't change their minds because Trump suddenly became a decent, ethical leader. No, I don't believe that. They changed because they saw Trump's grip on the Republican Party. They saw and observed the fact that Trump's grip on the base of the Republican Party was unshakable. They saw that opposing Trump meant getting left behind. These people are not leaders. They are survivors. They are political survivors. They go wherever the power is. And that is what should truly trouble us as believers today. Because if we claim to follow Jesus, I said claim. If we claim to follow Jesus, then we need to recognize what's happening here. Jesus warned us about people like this. People who are willing to compromise truth and sacrifice integrity just to stay in power. And it's not just the politicians that are doing it. We are seeing the same weak, spineless flip-flopping happening in corporate America too. And it's happening because we see it in the administration. So Trump recently announced that he is going to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the federal government. Not only that, but he outright lied about diversity, equity, and inclusion, trying to blame a recent aviation accident on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. By the way, don't just say DEI, say diversity, equity, and inclusion, because people love to use DEI as some type of acronym that they can malign black people and women, but make them say that they are against diversity, make them say that they are against equity, make them say that they are against inclusion. And Trump lied about diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, leaving the impression that if pilots and air traffic controllers are not white men, then they did not get into those positions by their own merit and competency. But it is an absolute lie, especially coming from someone who himself is not qualified to be president. But what do we expect? Donald Trump is a liar, and this is 2025 America. Trump has come out against diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what happens? Suddenly corporations that once claimed to support diversity, yes, I'm looking at you, Target, are now turning their backs on it. So what does that tell you? It tells you that they were never serious about diversity to begin with. These companies do not care about morals. They do not care about ethics. They care about their bottom line. They care about the dollar. They care about capitalism. They care about their stock prices. And if diversity, equity, and inclusion were trendy, they were supporting it. But now that Trump has made it clear that being anti-diversity, anti-equity, and anti-inclusion is the new MAGA position, these organizations are now ditching it to stay in line with power. It's the same playbook as the politicians who once spoke against Trump, like JD Vance, like Marco Rubio, are now kneeling at his feet. These corporations who once said they cared about diversity, they cared about equity, they cared about inclusion, are now casting it aside. They have no real convictions. Their only loyalty is to money and power. Believers in Jesus Christ should be the first ones to call this out. This should trouble us, because it means that truth doesn't matter anymore. Morality does not matter. Integrity does not matter. All that matters is what's popular and what gets people ahead. And this is exactly why Christians should be speaking out, because Jesus did. Jesus of Nazareth did not chase power. Jesus did not cater to the rulers of his day. Jesus spoke the truth, no matter what the cost. And in fact, he was crucified as a common criminal, not because of what he did, but because of what he said. He even told Pilate, the Roman governor who had the power to take his life, that he had no power except what had been given to him from up above. In other words, Jesus is saying earthly power is an illusion. Tragically, in America, however, Christians have fallen in love with power. And instead of following Jesus's example, what is it that we see? We see American Christians selling their souls for political power and a seat at the table. They have traded the gospel for Trumpism. They have traded integrity for influence. They have traded the truth for lies, and not just lies, flat out bald-faced lies. And for what? A seat at the table of power? A taste of prestige? And power, the illusion of control? This is not what the faith of Jesus of Nazareth is about. This is not the faith of our fathers. This is idolatry. This is the golden calf all over again. And let's be honest, this is not new. White evangelicalism has always struggled with this. They used Christianity, quote unquote, to justify slavery. They used Christianity to justify segregation. They used Christianity to justify keeping black people out of their churches. And now they're using Christianity to justify Trumpism and to sending immigrants back to where they came from. They are bowing down now to the same idol. It's just in a different form. So where does this leave us as believers in Jesus of Nazareth? As believers, we have a choice. We can either be a sellout like JD Vance, sell out like Marco Rubio, or you can stand firm like the Messiah. Because make no mistake, standing for truth will cost you. You might lose friends. You might lose political influence. You might lose financial opportunities. You might lose preaching positions. You might lose your churches. But Jesus never promised us power. He did promise us a cross to bear. Daily follow him. And if the American church actually believed that, we wouldn't be watching so many so-called believers bowing down to political idols. And if the American church actually believed that, we wouldn't be watching so many so-called believers becoming lapdogs for Trumpism. But the good news is, Jesus Christ is still King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and President of Presidents. He doesn't need our votes. He does not need our political influence. And he sure doesn't need people compromising truth just to be close to power. So are we following the Messiah down the road towards Calvary? Or are we following the crowd? Because the way of Jesus of Nazareth is a way that always leads to the cross.
Hallelujah.